Hello, brothers. We're on week two of the Wild Man's Way. And this video is going to be a little bit of added curriculum or extra stuff that you get to journey watch in your own time, feel into. I'm going to be doing videos like this every other week. So that some of them most of them will be quite short, around 7 minutes or so. This one may be a little bit longer because of the subject that we have to go into today. So the question is, are you feeling the resistance yet, my brother? Are you feeling it? Are you feeling the questioning, the shit, what have I decided to do? Have I stepped on the right thing? I don't even know if I want to show up on the next call. What's going on? Am I going to have enough time to do all this? All those pieces starting to come up within. Because if you are experiencing that right now in some way, shape, or form, then you are in the perfect place. Because we are now upon the hero's journey. Have you heard of the hero's journey before? If not, it is characterized as being the core of all foundational creation stories across all cultures. There's a beautiful book, I think it's the Hero with 1,000 Faces. And in that book, it's spoken about how there's an underlying theme that runs through all of the initial stories that were passed down for generations upon generations, because they all have a core structure to them. Now, the structure is archetypical, meaning that it's deep within us, right down in our bones, somewhere deep within our DNA and our genetics that comes from a long time ago in history. So therefore, it speaks to every single human on this planet, being an archetypical thing. And it's in the best movies, all the heroes' journeys upon an action movie or any other great film. Most of them follow the structure. Forrest Gump does not follow the structure, but it has pieces and elements in it. But most movies do. So the stage that we have been in is the call to adventure. The call to step on this journey, the call to step into the wild man's way. Now, there's also the refusal to the call, which is the stage that we're in now. Because by stepping on this journey, on the wild man's way, you've essentially gone through the refusal, gone through the resistance of going, no, that journey is not for me, it's not something I want to do, or it's not something I know is going to give me great value. And so, therefore, there's almost always that push away. Now, think of this in the context of anything that you do in your life. The reason I'm sharing it with you is because it can be valuable to apply to every area of your life and go, oh, what stage am I in here? Am I in the refusal, pushing it away? So the refusal of the call is the second stage. Then stage number 3 is supernatural aid. Now, that could be anything where it's life's current pushing you in a certain way, a broken leg, it could be a slap around the ears, someone leaving you, a job ending, an opportunity disappearing that seemed to be the perfect thing. But it's actually something beyond human that's just giving you a little nudge in the right way and saying, hey, you got to go on this journey. You've got to go on this journey. You've got to go on this journey. And giving you that little nudge. Then comes crossing the first threshold. Now, in a lot of stories, it could be stepping through the door and out onto the path and beginning the way, beginning the walk. And by feeling the resistance and stepping anyway. It's not that the resistance disappears, it's that you know that there is resistance, but you're willing to take the step regardless. Then we go into a place where there's the meeting the allies, the elders, people that are going to be with you on this journey. Because as you begin to walk towards the great challenge, you're going to need allies, because you're going to need to learn new ways of being, new ways to see the world, new actions. In the hero's journey, it might be learning how to use the sword better, or it might be learning how to use magic in the case of Harry Potter, or whatever it may be. But you've got your allies that are now with you on this journey. And we have that here. That's why this week is about the buddies and getting in and connecting and talking with each other and going and getting a deeper understanding of your ally that is going to be here with you throughout this journey. So now, once we've got the allies upon the road, we get the road of trials. Now, the road of trials is where there's challenges along the way, right? Is the hero's journey ever easy? Does it ever have an open path where he just walks down and he arrives at the gold? No, of course not. There's the trials and tribulations that come in along the way in order to challenge him to refine the skills that he's learning so that he can be ready for the big challenge, which is further along at the inner cave in the journey, right? So he's got these challenges that are happening for him as he takes the steps. And along the way, there's what's called the meeting with the goddess. Now, the meeting with the goddess is meeting the divine, meeting nature, meeting the greater, something supernatural, something beyond the woman that we could possibly imagine. And in one way, that's being in the womb of life, being in the womb of the mother, where we felt unconditional love no matter what. And we could feel that full unconditional love. But then when we come out into the world, we then meet the next stage, which is the woman as the temptress. The woman as the temptress is that we have this perception in our mind that a woman is the representation of that pure goddess energy, but it's not. It's not that. They are a human, a woman, but they're going to tempt us in because there's something in the woman that knows that the man gets called to that. And so therefore there's the openness and seduction into that place. And then when if he falls into the temptation and falls into the temptress's cave, he's therefore trapped there and feels as though essentially he doesn't have his own path because he's letting her be the goddess, directing him and giving him direction along the way. The next step is the atonement with the Father, because there must be an atonement with the Father along the journey. There must be an atonement, recognizing that the Father was not a perfect man and being able to create a holistic journey within that. Now, the reason I'm just touching on each of these two is because during the journey, we're going to go deeper into each of these layers, but I want to just give you a bit more of an overview of the whole thing. Now, the atonement with the Father can only happen when the meeting with the goddess and the woman as temptress has been processed. So the journey around the mother, which we'll come to later in our journey together on this hero's journey. Then we go into the inner cave. So as we go into the inner cave, there's the darkness, there's the great challenge that's coming forward to us. And we get the sense of realizing that this is what we're here for. This is what we learned all those skills for. This is what we took all of that information and that knowledge and turned it into wisdom through action with the trials and tribulations along the journey. To meet this moment, we can feel it building up. And then we enter the inner cave where the gold exists, and there's always a great challenge. There's always some monster, some witch, something in there that one must defeat. That's where the dragon lives. And once we can take those skills and be able to navigate our way through and kill the dragon, which is essentially killing the dragon that has been there in our life, killing the entity or the limiting beliefs or the patterns of behavior that have controlled our life, we can take that sovereignty back, take that decision, cut off the dragon's head, and then receive the gold. And the gold meaning the lessons. And then there's a refusal of the return. The refusal of the return means I want to be in this challenge. I want to stay here with this gold. I don't want to go back to the normal world. I don't want to re-enter into life. But then, of course, becomes the magic flight, which is where something happens within that cave that calls the hero back to the surface, back out of his cave, back out of that dark place. And then it's crossing the return threshold. So taking a step across the threshold back out of liminal space or sacred space, which we are in now, and stepping back into the normal world, the normal realm. And therefore coming back with a new perspective, because the world doesn't look the same upon that return. The world doesn't look quite as dark or grey. It's more vibrant, more alive, for there's the lessons and this new way of being and the knowing that one can master that challenge. Then comes the hardest part, which is the integration, the mastering of two worlds. For you need to master both worlds, the inner, the outer, mastering the depths of the cave and mastering the lights and the fancy stuff and everything else, finding the way between the upper realms and the deeper realms beneath the ground, and becoming that integrated being that's able to be an elder in the long term, right? Which is having a foot in both. A wise elder, the definition of it is one who has a foot in either. And this is also where weird comes from as well. Weird is to have one foot in either, one foot in both places. So the more we become true to that deeper place within ourselves, the more we're able to discover what our weirdness is, what our journey is to finding that way to be in both worlds and live in this one. And then the final stage is freedom to live. Once we have that learning to master the two worlds of that particular lesson in that particular way, we have the freedom to have an unconscious ability to act in that way. And the way it could look in an internal process is that it's learning how to relate with a woman and learning how to speak to one. And there's always the challenge, right? There's the call to, oh, I could do this so much better, but I don't know. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. I have to look at all my bullshit and be able to work through it all. And then getting nudged into it by something happening in a relationship or some other way. And then crossing the threshold into it, going, all right, fuck it, we're going to do this. And then along the way is the trials and tribulations. And your ally might be that woman that you're relating with, or the woman that you meet along the way. Or it may be the brothers that you get support from to learn how you're just being a fucking idiot with the words that you're saying in the way that you're being, or supporting you and loving you and helping encourage you to step into more, right? You're going along that trials and tribulations of learning how to communicate, messing it up, getting it wrong, learning again, recalibrating, and then there's all this thinking that's going into it, and it's not a fully embodied thing, so it doesn't come from your heart, and then it's going into the final inner cave where you finally get to meet that place of, oh my God, this is what the thing was. I was making it all about me, and I finally realized that, and then you're able to kill the dragon, which is the one who is trying to make it all about oneself, and then shift into this place of, oh, I'm in my heart, wow, and I'm able to speak in this way, and I'm able to talk with women in these particular ways, which has a beautiful result, and I'm still learning, but I feel true and deeper within that journey. I'm loving I want to stay here and learn as much as I can, but I've got to go back out into the world and learn how to bring this within life and not get so obsessed over it. All right, I'm coming back, and then now living in freedom of going, oh, this is just who I am. This is how I speak. And there's more to learn, but I'm not feeling like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. It's feeling good enough. So that's a basic overview of the hero's journey, brothers, and maybe an idea of what could be received during this year. So we're in the stage of the refusal to the call right now, and it'd be interesting to see how these things unfold as we go forward, as we reach those certain stages, as we reach those certain places going through. You don't need to remember all this stuff. If it's something that really interests you, you can go and read the book, The Hero of a Thousand Faces. I'll put a link into it somewhere in the resources section. And I'll actually try and there's a great story that I'll share, which is a perfect encapsulation. It's a very short story, but it encapsulates the hero's journey perfectly. So I'll find that, post that up in there as well if you want to have a watch of that. But it's not necessity, and it's just about opening your body to these different things. And we're going to start having this come as it goes along the way. So I love you, brother. Thank you. Let us go on this journey together. And if there's anything that you need to express about your refusal, please put it in the general chat. Put it in there. Tap it in and go, hey, this is what's been happening for me this week. So the other brothers can feel, oh, it's not just me. These are the things that are coming up in my mind, like, Gas a dickhead. Or I'm feeling resistant to doing this, or I'm feeling like I'm not going to be able to support my buddy, or I'm not going to have the time, or I'm not going to be able to meet the commitments. Which is another thing. The commitments aren't going to be huge in this. It's going to be these videos, our big calls, and a half-hour call a week with your buddy, or 15 minutes each. So there's one group of 3, which will be 45 minutes total, and one of 2, which will be a 30-minute. So it's not a huge amount. The rest of it just happens in life, right? And then I would encourage you to put more into these chats. You've got your own sections as well. I'm going to do a separate video on that to explain the whole thing, but I'm going to leave this one here. Thank you, brothers. Enjoy the hero's journey. Yow!